always keep forgetting to end that early. But yes, guys, what are you man saying? Welcome back to another live. It's we just finished the full Manchester United game. United have scraped through with yet another win, which means they're top of the league. It's absolutely jarring, and we can't even banter them too much because our form has been absolutely terrible. But welcome back to another live stream. This totally isn't because I'm just under 100 subs away from hitting 20k. So if any of you guys are new here, please hit the like and subscribe button. It's been an absolutely dreadful last 24 hours watching football, but if you want to make me feel a little bit better about myself, smash the subscribe button. And yeah, we're here for player ratings. I won't start it too soon. I want to get a few more people in here first before that happens. But yeah, I'll ask you guys to drop some questions. Let me see what you guys said in the comment section so far. Bunch of fake stuff saying Frank Lampard's got sacked. Reports coming out from this evening that Lampard will be sacked if form doesn't improve, implying that he'll be given more time. Yeah, I mean, I expect that now, and that's only because he hasn't already been sacked. I thought if it was going to go the same way it happened with Jose Mourinho, they would have done it already. Like, people are saying it might be a bit too early afterwards. It isn't. Like, Mourinho got sacked less than 24 hours after the Leicester City game back in the 15-16 season. So there's no reason to think the same thing could happen to Frank Lampard. He's had less experience and he's in way worse form than Jose Mourinho has. Mourinho's the best manager that we've ever had, but we were ruthless as hell with him. So I can't see why we wouldn't be ruthless with Lampard as well. It makes sense that we would sack him right now. I think now is a perfect time to do it. We've got the Luton game, which is coming around on the Sunday, and the Wolves game, which is on a Tuesday or Wednesday. That's perfect time to at least get somebody in. You got the Luton game, which is more or less a test game. Regardless of whether there's a manager or not, we should be getting a result against Luton, even though it'll be a semi-harder game than the Morecambe game because they're actually a championship side. They're not a League Two side. But we are not sitting here creating excuses for why we can't get a win against Luton in the fourth round of the Cup. That really isn't running. So maybe the whole reason why he's only still here is probably because of the FA Cup. If we really want to start looking at reasons, because the FA Cup's probably the biggest competition for him right now. It's the only real guarantee of a trophy, and that's all that he would have on the table at the end of the season, maybe to say that he could keep the job for another year. I low-key don't care too much about the cup. I think with or without a cup, it's about the Premier League table that matters. But I'm thinking about what the board would want. If we don't win against Luton, he'll definitely be gone. There's no way he sees the Wolves game. But I'm looking at the next games after the Spurs match and look at the amount of messy fixtures that we've got. This is why I'm thinking if we're going to make this decision and we're going to sack Frank Lampard, we really might as well just do it now. There's no point just sitting there and wasting time about it. Let's see what else. There's no coming back if we lose to Luton. Look at the state that we're in now. We're sitting there worried about a game against Luton. It really should have never come to this. Start the season, we were all excited. We were promised one of the most exciting seasons in years. And now we're sitting here back in another top four race. I mean, it will barely even be a top four race if we keep playing the way we do for the next few weeks. We're only really lucky that the Premier League table is an absolute mess this season, because any other season we wouldn't even be touching top four. And it's a shame because we've all wanted to see Frank Lampard succeed. But I think even the most Lampard in of people has to be looking at this and thinking it's an absolute mess. If you're still Lampard in right now, please let me know. I actually would send you the link and I want to hear what you guys have to say. Let me see what else you guys are saying. Man said I was the best player on the pitch. We'll go into that in player ratings, but one of the more promising players. But big up Kai Havertz anyway. Luke Tucker says, question for Carefree Lewis G. Do you think it's just a matter of Chelsea finding the right replacement rather than keeping Frank as a man in charge? And is that why he's not been sacked yet? Maybe, because that's been one of the biggest questions about this. It's if we sack Frank Lampard, who do we bring in? And right now, off the top of my head, if you're asking me for an interim manager, a short-term manager for the next few months, I don't really know. The only thing that's given me a bit of confidence and the reason why I pushed for this a bit more is because the club's already looking for options. The club's already looking for replacements. And I'd be really surprised if the club doesn't already have certain options that they'd be looking for right now. So why has he not been sacked yet? Probably because we haven't got a name right now, but we are looking for names. There are names that have been coming up. Thomas Tuchel's name's come up a lot of times. There was someone from the Bundesliga, but I can't remember his name too much for now. But that's probably the only reason why. Let's see, what other comments are we getting? That's the same comments. after today's 150 of you lot live here. If you guys haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. I'm like under 100 subs away. I'm gonna keep pushing this for the rest of the video. I'm shameless like that. So if you guys ain't done it already, hit the like and subscribe button. What else you saying? We have to be honest, guys. It's more when than if for him getting sacked. Yeah, Simon Johnson's already said that, which is why it's even more surprising that we came out and played like that for the Leicester City game, because all those players going out there for that match would have known. They all would have known that his job was on the line. They all would have known that this is probably the biggest game for them of the season so far, and none of them played like it. We were sloppy with one of the first set pieces of the game and conceded. And as soon as we did that, we made the game 10 times harder for ourselves. Barely chased the game. As soon as we got to the attacking third, like there was no point in even trying because Leicester City had sat all of their bodies back. I'm not surprised that they did that because Leicester City are a counter-attacking team. You don't give them an early goal because you just give them the game as well. A team that's been playing as well as they've had this season. No wonder. No wonder. Give me 1 sec. I do have to sort out the StreamYard quick. But what have we got? Another question. Should be smoke screen to throw us off the scent of Lampard getting sacked with Chelsea, saying if form doesn't improve. It might be, but as much as you want to blame it on the players, it's more the manager as well. Like any issue that you say with the players, you turn around, you think about it a bit deeper, and you realize that the manager's more to blame. Yes, the midfield barely does anything, but they look like they're clueless right now. Wingers, they look like they've got too much work for themselves. They're doing way too much. Tammy Abraham looked absolutely isolated yesterday. It was an absolutely embarrassing performance from top to bottom. So I wouldn't call it a smokescreen too much. No. Lewis, I reckon we get an interim for the rest of the season if we can and push for Nagelsmann because he has that long-term feeling about him and can get the best out of Werner. Nagelsmann's the dream long-term option for a lot of people, but for anyone to think he's going to come midway through the season, you're absolutely crazy. There's no way it's happening, which is exactly why I don't mind talking about Nagelsmann, but I don't want to talk too much about it because it's not really too relevant right now. He isn't going to come. He isn't going to get a job. He ain't going to get a job at the club. Not until the summer at the very least, so I don't see why we'd be talking about him. A lot of people are saying the team's perfectly set up for him. You can talk about conspiracy theories all you want and think about whether this was a PR move bringing Frank Lampard into the job anyway. But same way, I can't look too deep into it. Right now, we kept Frank Lampard over the first season. It can't be too much of a PR move keeping him for the second season. Like, there were options there in the summer. People who are Lampard out since day one can vouch for that. What was it? Hey, man said a super chat to say I'm more deluded than Ty. Big up Ty anyway, but save for the money. Big up Vitmus as well. Sorry, in somebody said it in it, not me, but I agree with whoever said it, but I didn't say it as well. Low key, if Maurizio Sarri is there, because here's the thing: if we're gonna sack Frank Lampard, I'd rather we go straight back to another project. And I don't want to see us just sit here and do the same thing that we went back to doing like years ago, which is just hire and fire and hire and fire. Because I don't mind that. It won us a lot of trophies, but we're trying to be more sustainable. And if we're trying to be more sustainable, that's not a long-term route to success, regardless. Hearing a bunch of Lampard in comments. Big up to all you guys as well. Your club is solely tied to Arsenal because you're letting sentiment hold you back. Here's the thing, we're not. One sec. Yeah, here's the thing. We're not letting sentiment hold us back because, we already want him out. For the most part, the majority of Chelsea, well, I say the majority, it's a 50-50. But it's happened a lot quicker than it happened with you guys with Wenger. It's happened a lot quicker than your fans and Arteta when he was in bad form. And the same thing with United now and Ole. That's half the reason why I don't see United as title contenders, because half of them don't rate their manager anyway. But if Chelsea are going to be the first one to sack their manager out of the three of us, then it just shows that Chelsea are the more serious out of the three. I don't mind us being this ruthless. You could say sentiment's holding some fans back, but it's really and truly only some fans. Like, it's not a lot of the fans that are doing this. Scott wanted to jump on. Yeah, I'll send him a link. 1 second. Give me a sec, guys. Again, if you guys haven't done so already, because I am getting through this, smash the like and subscribe button, because I'm getting very, very close to 20k. So if you guys really could, it'll be massively appreciated. It'll be the best thing I've heard. We will start the player ratings soon. I am just letting the numbers go up a little bit more before I do it. I don't want someone to come in like 15 minutes into the stream and we're already at Kai Havertz or Tammy Abraham, because then what was the point? What other comments have we got? Drop your comments in the comment section below if you guys ain't done it already. Every time we have a blip, we start shouting for managers' heads. We had blips last season. Like, our form going into Christmas wasn't great anyway. Granted, we beat Spurs and Arsenal. We still lost to Southampton and Everton too. We never had consistency last season. Other than the November period, maybe the October-November period, I ain't really seen too much anyway. So I wouldn't say that we're calling a manager's head just because we're in bad form or anything like that. I wouldn't call that. Hey, big up Fata with the super chat. What are you saying? Scott's in here as well. Scott, what are you saying, man?
I'm all right.
Yeah, have you managed to get through the last 24 hours, or has it been a struggle for you as well?
I've been asleep most of the day. I was doing work all of last night. So I've been asleep.
All the last night?
Literally the whole time we were on that live stream, and then for about an hour or two afterwards, or basically about actually 12 a.m. I was doing work.
So you rode it. So you rode it a little bit because you were up for ages. I rate that. Okay, cool. What's the super chat from Fata saying? The board's gonna back Lampard. Tell us. The board's gonna sack Lampard. Tell us. I'll tell you what's gonna happen. It's gonna get toxic and poisonous week by week. Timing is essential. Yes, exactly that. Go on, Scott.
To be fair, I think they're actually doing the right thing in a sense where you can tell that. I think most people can tell that. Unless you're, as I said yesterday with some stuff, unless you're looking at it with rose-tinted spectacles and you're a Lampard in just fanatic, you can tell that the only reason they're keeping Lampard in with what was said that reported is I guarantee it's just because they're trying to do as much scouting as possible into the next target. Like for me, it's a West Brom and Slaven Bilic thing where he's getting sacked no matter what. It's just a case of they want to make sure they've got that replacement lined up, sorted, And
I don't mind that, but it's a question of how long. Like realistically, we only have till the Wolves game before the games start coming like that.
I think it'll be Tottenham. So that's what some people are saying. I think it'll be Tottenham.
You think he'll last his next 2 league games?
Yeah, I think so.
But imagine we lose our next 2 league games.
I agree, but at the same time, going out and getting someone now without having any real idea who you want is just. It's not good. That's not good preparation. So I just see it. They would want to keep him until they've got,
I half agree with you. I think until the Luton game, or so we can push to the Wolves game, that's okay. But I think if we're really looking to sack him, we should have a replacement lined up by the Wolves match because I also get that you shouldn't sack him with a replacement lined up, but how many L's are you going to take before top 4 even starts becoming a question? Because right now, even with how tight the Premier League table is now, Man United are 13 points clear of us. The title's done. So you can.
I agree
about that now.
I think, to be fair, though, I think it does come down a little bit to how tight the league is. I mean, you look and we're only 5 points, but I think 5 points. I could be wrong, but 5 points behind Liverpool, and they're in 4th. So it's even with another L or 2, it's not the worst thing in the world with this year. If it was any other year, I think it would be massively detrimental. But I think this year's the one year you can say it's not the end of the world. As long as they get the right person through proper scouting.
Yeah, but it's only not the end of the world for 2 reasons. Number one, we have a squad that's completely ready to challenge as soon as we have a decent manager behind it. Number 2, it's because of the season that we have. Any other season and we're in this form, we'd be sacking a manager and just saying, okay, you got 4 months, just make the team that you want, sort it all out. You'll have the summer to get the transfers and we'll go again next season. Just like 15-16. But that's half the reason why. And that also pushes half the reason why we should be looking for a replacement quickly, because we can get ourselves back into a top 2 or top 3 race immediately with a new manager, in my opinion, because we aren't that far off. At the most, we're too far off the title. But 3rd place, I think we could still go and get again. I don't even mind us flatlining and getting 4th place. Like I'll take it based on what the season's like, because it really could have been much worse. But that's half the reason why we need to act quickly, because the longer we make this last, the more points we're going to lose that we could have just salvaged if we had a new manager in.
Yeah, I agree.
Big up Benjamin. What's he saying? Big up to you, speaks sense, because I backed him. He's showing me no promise to back him. That's the only reason why you can't back him anymore.
Yeah.
Like any reason, and we'd probably be hanging on to it for dear life, because it is Frank Lampard. We want to see him succeed. We're going to look at things that make it look like he has a chance to succeed, and we're going to back it. There is nothing You ask me any reasons to back Lampard, I can't give it to you. We were asking people on the phone in yesterday reasons to trust Lampard, reasons to trust this process. No response. Do you want to know why? Because you just can't come up with one.
There's only one reason, and it's because it's Lampard and he's a legend. Which, if that's your reason, I've got no problem with it. But tell me that that's your reason, because then I know all it is down to just a bit of bias, and that's, as I said, that's fine. It's just don't try and convince me that it's anything other than that. Don't try and convince me it's because he's a tactical genius, because he's not. When you've got, every single week, I've noticed this since the Arsenal game. I've been noticing tactical things where I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Going into a game against a team, you know that's how it's going to play, and play in the complete opposite way makes no sense tactically. Then you go and look at how other teams are playing against that team, like Brighton, and who else did Arsenal play after us? It's Brighton and someone else, and they played the way we should have.
After us, Brighton.
It was Brighton and someone else. I can't remember, but
they probably irrelevant then.
Yeah, they went into those games, the Brighton, whoever. It was teams below us and played how we should have played. So how's a manager, a lower side in the table, tactically better than you? Then you go and look at it, and you've got players, go and look at the James Maddison interview from yesterday. You've got players being more tactically astute than you. That can't be happening. You can't have football players that are 25 being better tactically than you are. That stuff like that just can't.
We were exposed by the small things yesterday. They said we were dead at short corners, and they caught us out at short corners in minutes. But that's the thing as well. How are you letting your concentration lapse like that 6 minutes into a game? Maybe 90 minutes. I can understand maybe your heads are down, it's been a long game. I still won't accept it, but I'll understand it. 6 minutes in, what? What's happening 6 minutes in? You man tired already or what? That's bullshit. Luke Tucker, go on.
I'd say it just comes down to concentration, like you said. If you look at that corner, you notice that the reason so many people are in the box is because that was how many people were defending the cross that came in before. No one resets it. They all just kind of stood there, milled about a bit, picked up someone for the corner without thinking, right, hang on a second, we actually need only about 6 or 7 people here, 2 people edge of the box, 1 person halfway line, something like that. It was all just a bit, we'll kind of just walk around, mark someone. Oh shit, they've scored.
Yeah, some of the ways that we were positioned during the game. Have I got a screenshot up on here or not? Yeah, look at this, by the way. I just saw this on Twitter. What is that?
Is that Tammy playing as centre mid?
You've got Tammy in the middle of what? A 4-5-1? We really are just vibes. What is that, man? You've got nobody in the middle there. Literally nobody.
Hang on. Is that going... Are they attacking from left to right or right to left?
Yeah, they're attacking left to right.
So is that Mount playing as right back?
I think so. James must be down here on the out of the shot. That must be Chilwell there. You've got Havertz in a false 9. Hudson-Odoi on the right. And who's that on the left? That must be Christian Pulisic.
You've got Kovacic playing as one of the centre-backs.
There's Kovacic dropped back. Fair play
He's
to
the deepest player.
The whole thing is just an absolute mess. Look at that. And that shit can only be tactical, man. How have you got players all in the wrong position for what? It's crazy. Luke, what was your question, by the way? I want Franco as much as everyone, but if we beat Luton and Wolves, will that keep Lampard in the job? Nah, that can't at this point. Wolves might make him look good. But I need a run of games now. And I also need wins that I can look back at and be proud of. Not the Fulham game where it's okay, cool, we just got by there. Or the West Ham game where I'm sitting there how the hell did we score 3 goals in that? Because that just felt like a 1-0 game all over. Maybe even a 0-0.
Yeah.
We got really lucky in both of those games, which is why if we win our next 2 games, why is that going to be enough for me to turn it around? It would have been cool if those 2 league games were Leicester and Wolves. Then that's something to go with. But if it's Luton and Wolves, I don't give a shit about Luton. Luton's a stat pad sesh. We all know that. Wolves as well. Their record's been awful. I know it was awful going through Christmas. I don't know if it's changed since then, but they're 14th in the table. Lost to West Brom, lost to Wolves, lost to Palace, drew to Brighton, lost to United, drew to Spurs, lost to Burnley. Oh, look who they beat. Chelsea. Fucking surprise. Lost to Aston Villa, lost to Liverpool, lost to Arsenal, drew to Southampton. Fucking hell, when was their last win before?
Yeah, no.
Leeds United.
They're in a bad run of form. They're in a really bad run of form.
Yeah, but we're Charity FC, so you know which way this is going.
And they haven't got. They've only got one striker at the minute as well. So,
yeah, I can't lie. 2 wins in a row ain't doing shit to me right now.
But yeah, the thing I'd say to that as well, the comment is, you look at United fans and why they want Ole out. It comes down to overall performances they're seeing across games and seeing that, like, he's getting bailed out a lot of times by his players. Like, it doesn't matter that they're top of the league and they're winning games against like Fulham here and there or whatnot. Their stance isn't changing because they're not seeing a progression across a whole season. And what they are seeing in terms of the progression is from the players. So like Bruno stepping up and carrying this team. Pogba now showing a bit of form. It doesn't come from Ole. It comes from the players picking themselves up and taking the game into their own hands. So like, even if we win against Luton and Wolves, for all we know, that's the players going, we really need to perform here. This isn't good enough. It might have nothing to do with Frank.
Yeah, I get that, but I also want to turn it on its head and say, if the players start bailing Frank Lampard out, aren't the people who are Lampard in going to say the whole issue throughout the whole time was that the players weren't understanding the basics, and now that they've improved, the results are improving as a result of that, and Lampard was never to blame?
Oh, they might do, but it's like, the problem is, again, with us, like the people who are Frank out could easily say, like, say for example that we start seeing Havertz further up the pitch, we could say that that's a part of the reason we're doing so well, because he's actually playing Havertz where he's meant to be playing.
Exactly that, Alex.
Same with Ziyech, we could be seeing he's going to be still on the wing but slightly more centralized, almost like he's playing on the corner of the box instead of being out wide on the hugging the touchline, which he's not used to. So it swings both ways. Depends if we see any tactical changes.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, regardless of which way it goes, there's going to be a huge agenda behind it. But that's why you really got to try and keep a level head through it. Declan says, Lewis, don't you think Brendan Rodgers should be the main target? Brendan Rodgers ain't coming to Chelsea. We've already gone through that.
Yeah,
he's got issues with the board which stems from years back, which means that the board ain't really going to look into him. And also, he's top of the league with Leicester City. Like, or why would he come down to us? It don't make sense. But thanks for the question anyway, but I don't see that one happening.
I've seen someone mention a name I saw this morning, because I saw 3 names mentioned this morning. Actually, no, I've seen 4. I saw
it was 102, not 96. Oh my gosh. Go on.
It was I saw Allegri, Tuchel, someone else, and Ralph Rangnick, who I've sort of seen mentioned here, who was Leipzig manager for a time, but he's also their he was their director of football. I've got no idea in terms of his style of play, but apparently it's kind of similar to Nagelsmann.
I mean, if you want to go for him for an interim role, I don't care. I mean, as an interim option until we get an actual interim option, I don't care who would take it for the next few weeks. If we sack Lampard tomorrow, you could give it to Thiago Silva on his coaching batches for the experience for a week, for all I give a shit. Luton Town should be a win in charge. Wolves would be the tougher game, but I'd expect Chelsea to have a replacement in by them. And with the amount of dilly-dallying around, it just sounds like it's going to be not Brendan Rodgers. It sounds like it's going to be Tuchel anyway, regardless of whether you want it or not, because I know you don't want it to be him, but I do think it's going to be Tuchel regardless. All the rumours are only pointing one way.
Yeah, no, if he does come in, I'll back him. And I've never said he's not a decent manager and he's not better than Lampard, but I said this. I guarantee you in 2 years we'll be looking for another manager, because he'll have fallen out with the players or the board or both. So as I said, I'll back him and it'll be a decent option, but it's not a long-term thing. It'll be quick success, turning it around, winning a few things, and then he'll be gone.
Okay, I'm going to get one more person in before we start player ratings. So we'll start player ratings in about 5 minutes.
That's cool.
Any other question? I said Thiago Silva can coach a team to second place after us. I just want him for one game. Guy's doing his coaching badges anyway, so if you want to just give him the role for one match against Luton, fuck it. I don't give a shit. Man said get Ranieri in. You know what? Just for the whole sake of nostalgia, I'd back that anyway. Big up, Claudio.
I doubt he'd come. He's actually got a pretty decent job at the minute.
Oh, wait, is he already in employment? Yeah,
he's Sampdoria.
Sampdoria, that's it.
Yeah, he's got a pretty decent job at the minute.
Real Madrid knocked out Copa del Rey.
Wait, is that true?
Wow.
Wait,
No way, bro.
Bro.
No, one sec. Yeah, we're
can I just say,
pausing
and
this.
people trying to tell me Zidane's a quality manager, you know?
Hey, Zidane's another one that's getting outed as a fraud. It's happening to all of these guys.
Bro, I've said this for
Zidane's
time.
probably started this trend, you know.
I said this from time when
Yeah,
Ronaldo
he did. Real Madrid got knocked out.
bro.
Nah, I hope
tell
he
me.
didn't play.
Trying to tell me Zidane's a quality manager.
Oh my gosh, man. Zidane's getting outed the same way everybody else is getting outed. It's peak, but you know what? He's the one that started this trend of just giving legends the job. So you know what? He can go down with the sinking ship too. It is what it is. What other comments you said? FPL guys, Ralph Ragnick. That's the
guy.
name I heard yesterday.
Yeah.
Ralph Ragnick.
That's the one I was on about. The one that kind of plays similar to Nagelsmann's style.
Is he in a job though?
No, he was. He was the director for Leipzig, and there was rumors he was going to go to AC Milan, but then I think that was only if they sacked their manager, and they're now top of the league. So,
yeah, Leipzig. What happened with Leipzig? Yeah, he ain't there. So maybe we could go for him. I wouldn't mind. I don't know enough about him. I'll have to
I don't either.
Start chatting about him. But thanks to that, I'm actually going to do some research into Ralph Ragnick. Cool. When is it? Kazilla should be on in a minute or two. And then we'll get started with player ratings. Or I might wait another 10 minutes so I can actually get my full hour of this, one or the other. Lewis, do you want to? Cool. I can't lie. The more I do some research into him, the more I warm up a little bit. I still get some of the stuff that you're saying, but I could just do with an experienced, flexible manager, to be honest. And Tuchel does fit those boxes for me. Obviously, I still don't know enough about him to make a complete last judgment. But from what I've heard, I'm warming up to it. I don't mind. I'm all for it. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, as I said, if it genuinely, there's the only problem I have with him is his attitude. His attitude stinks. But apart from that,
it is. But I looked at the last two clubs, and I can kind of understand why. Like with Chelsea, yeah, he might want new players, but if we're going to sit here and think about it, who would he need to get? Really need to get right now.
You say that, but if you look at that PSG team, they didn't need another. Like they got in a left back, a quality left back from Bayern Munich, and they had Dani Alves. They didn't exactly need like better fullbacks, and yet he complained that they didn't have good enough fullbacks. So,
actually, to be honest, I have heard their fullbacks get a bit of stick. Well, you said they got new ones.
No, so this was when they signed Mbappe. They got rid of one of their left backs, signed Bernat from Bayern Munich, and then he complained that they hadn't strengthened enough in the fullback areas, despite having Dani Alves and then seeing and buying Bernat. So, and also, yeah, there's the slight issue of he's a bit of a racist.
Yeah, someone educate me too much on this because I didn't really fully hear what you said.
This was the PSG Istanbul game where that fourth official said to...
Hi, Craigo, if you want a link as well, jump on.
He said it to someone, I think it was one of the Istanbul staff. He pointed at him and went, "That black guy."
No, I know the stuff with the referee and everything.
Oh, yeah, no, and it all kicked off, and everyone, PSG players, Istanbul players, every single person kicked off about it. The only person to defend the referee was Tuchel. The only person.
I do remember seeing that. I thought the comments was about something that happened in the tunnel afterwards. Like the stuff where he was there, he was just saying he didn't hear too much about it. Like I'm not really too asked about that. Like people were getting pissy at him. I get the whole situation. Like go after the referee all you want, of course. Oh, Craigo wants a link.
That's a laugh. Oh, go on then.
Yeah, like I get all the stuff with the referee because the referee could have used different wording, like completely could have. But Thomas Tuchel, from the sounds of it, from his point of view, he barely even heard it. And if he didn't hear it, I'm like, can I really judge him for it? I'm not really going to judge him for it. The stuff under the tunnel, like if that's true, then yeah, that's a bit of a sticky one still. But everything else before that, nah, not really too much. Ian, where you at? If anything, he can also shed some light on this too. There's the link, G. I just sent it to you on WhatsApp.
Yeah, as I said, tactically he can be good. as like we were talking yesterday about, he had to change it up when Neymar got injured, and then when Neymar came back, he didn't just take out one of his informed strikers to like go back to the system he liked. He changed the whole system. But yeah, as I said, it's
You
just
see, that's flexibility. That's just warmed my ears.
that I rate. That I do rate. It's just, as I said, attitude. Because the problem is he. You see at the minute how Klopp is in terms of like he's getting quite aggravated and agitated, and he's like coming out and saying loads of stuff and like kind of throwing his toys out of pram. Tuchel does that as well, but then hasn't got the pedigree that Klopp has or Pep has to back it up.
Wait, what? He hasn't won a Champions League. Fair play.
No, the only
but
thing
his trophy cabinet's pretty decent, isn't it?
Bro, it's mostly Ligue 1s. Like,
oh no, he didn't win. He didn't win the Bundesliga with Dortmund.
No, he won a cup.
Okay, yeah. Let me retract that statement quickly. Forget I said anything.
You got Pochettino winning stuff for PSG, like,
mate. There's Craiger. Yes, man. What are you saying?
What's going on, guys? Is we good?
Yeah, we're all good. If anything, I want a positive outlook on yesterday. So chat to me about the Leicester Chelsea match, bro.
I'm getting a little bit of interference, but I assume you said chat to me about the Leicester game.
Yeah.
It's one of the, it's bloody annoying. It is the bottom line of it. You know, I'm still Lampard in. I'll stand by that. I'm not going to back him until it's absolutely ridiculous. And I think that there's a large debate amongst Chelsea fans saying about Lampard in, Lampard out, and you can only be one or the other. Where I think actually there is a bit of middle ground. You know, you do have to say, I want to back Lampard, which is exactly the side that I am on. Want to back Lampard, but you know, unfortunately, it gets to a point where how far can you take it? I still think that look, if Frank's not the right person at the end of the season, then fine, you know, then so be it. And he goes, that's absolutely chill. But on the flip side of that, I'm not going to say that it's solely Frank Lampard's fault about how he played yesterday. You know, there's a massive confidence issue in the club, and that's many players are included in that, and they need to step up as well. I get a lot of criticism for my love of Mason Mount and Frank Lampard. The fact of the matter
Mason
is,
Mount one is calm. He's been our best player. He's been our best midfielder and our most consistent midfielder this season. So
the thing is, I put it on my Instagram last night. If you think 22 years of age, if you think that Mason Mount is the problem, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You know, you know. I think, is he perfect? No, of course not. But again, he's 22. Fine, chill, absolutely chill. You're asking him to play a big role in a team where he's basically carrying a fair few players, you know, at the moment in terms of effort levels and energy and stuff. That's a big role to play. So you can't be expecting him to go and win a game by himself. But people will criticise him, and because obviously the Lampard and him comparisons, people are always going to criticise him unfairly. But I think he's been superb, especially over the last few games as well. Not necessarily in terms of being able to do it all by himself, but at least you know week in, week out, you're going to get the effort from him. But I have a very bad feeling that if Lampard goes, wherever Lampard ends up next, Mount might follow him. And
you really think that?
Yeah, I do. I really do. And I think not because of anything Mount would do wrong, but if he continuously keeps getting abused because he's part of the old regime of Frank Lampard, shall we say, then you can't really argue with that. You know,
do you think that would happen though? Because the one thing I do like about
have you seen our fucking fan base? Have you seen our fan base?
I've seen it with Sarri and Jorginho, but I don't think it would be the same energy with Mount and Lampard. The entire energy between the Sarri lot and the Lampard lot has been completely different, which is why I do think Mason Mount to get different, because the difference is he's Chelsea youth. The thing that we like about the youth crop is that if they work, they will stay here for at least a decade flat, and they'll be ours. So I'm really surprised that you think Mason Mount would leave.
I'm not saying he would leave. I'll say that he would be very tempted to, because of the abuse that he's getting. Let's just chill this down. Let's not forget this geezer is Chelsea youth. He was Chelsea youth before he's Frank Lampard's son. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Let's just realise about what he is. If it is going to work out for him in a Chelsea shirt, then absolutely superb. But I don't know if it's necessarily for me, but I mean, probably Scott, you'll probably agree with this a little bit as well, you know, and you, Lewis, as well. I mean, we're all of the age, we're all 22. we are very much of the opinion that like, Mason Mount is basically a version of us that has worked hard from a young age, and he now wants to go and be at the club and keep going and keep going. And there is a sentimental value towards him, of course there is, but you can tell that he gives a shit. His dad told him leave Chelsea, and he stayed. You know, that's got to be respected. It has to be respected.
Yeah, those comments of him saying because his dad was really pushing a good case, and at that point of our time as Chelsea, we weren't really bringing in youth players like that. For his dad to come out and say,
proof
you
as
should
well.
leave, go for it. But he wanted to stay, and he had that drive about him. So yeah, I do like that about him, and I can't lie, we're biased about the youth players as well. We want to see them succeed.
Too bloody right we do.
When was it that his dad said this?
I want to say it was the year we won the league, so 2017, I think.
Was that the year he was loaned to Vitesse, or was that?
No, I think it might have been the year before.
Oh, okay, because I was saying if it was after that year, he had every right to leave. Yeah. He was very good that year.
Yeah, if it was the year, that would have been mad though. Because imagine he said that, and then he's gone to Vitesse the year afterwards. His dad must be sitting there like, I told you you should have fucking left Chelsea when you had the chance, and now you're at Vitesse for a year.
I went over. I've been over to Holland twice to watch Vitesse. I went the year before Mason Mount played there, and the year after Mason Mount played there. And the year before he played there, it was Lewis Baker was our big young product over there.
Nice.
And they spoke about him so highly. They spoke about him so highly. And then from what I saw when I went there 2 years later, the way they spoke about Mason Mount, I thought they loved Lewis Baker, but the love they had for Mason Mount, even as a kid, was just absolutely superb. And you can tell that, you know, Vitesse and Arnhem, they're a bit of a weird one, of course, because everyone in Holland supports Ajax, basically. But the ones that really appreciate him, for a small club that it was, and it is a small club, they absolutely give a shit about him. And you can see that even then he put in performances and he just gives a shit, which is why I think that if you try and crucify him now because he's Frank Lampard's son, you're an idiot. Because you know you're going to get half-decent performance from him. You're going to get the effort. And if you can put the skill with it, which he definitely has fucking got, and you can put the ability with it that he definitely has got, you've got one fucking hell of a player. You've got a hell of a player.
Okay, so as a final question, you said you're at the point where you are still Lampard in, but it's like it will get to a point eventually where it's how long can you defend him for? I can't lie. I am basically at the point where I don't know where to defend him anymore. But how far would they have to go for you?
Well, I think the next run of games we've got, correct me if I'm wrong, is Luton, then Wolves, then Burnley, then Tottenham.
And then Newcastle after that, I want to say, or
Newcastle,
Sheffield United.
Sheffield, Southampton, Atletico, United, Everton, Leeds.
I think if it gets to was it the Newcastle and Sheffield, did you say?
Yeah.
Newcastle and Sheffield. I think if it gets to the Newcastle one, whichever one's first, if we haven't won since then or until then you've got to pull the trigger. You've got to pull the trigger.
Here's the thing though. That's 3 league defeats potentially. Not to say we'll go and lose all our games, but that's 3 league defeats potentially, including Tottenham away.
Yeah, no. I
hate to say it. Go on.
I don't believe now is the right time to sack someone. I don't believe it's the right time at all, because we've got the Luton game obviously coming up. I mean, that's a nothing fixture. Players win that game, not Frank. Players have to show up in that one. You think
the same way the players are barely showing up.
Yeah, I know. That's I'm all for criticising Frank if he deserves to be criticised, and he does at times. You know, I was talking to my dad; he's not animated as much as he probably should be, and such. But flip side of that, got to see more from the players as well. You know, there's only so much Frank can do. You know, confidence comes from players. It comes from gelling. It comes from communication. That's all got to improve. And there's certain things that Frank can do to improve that. But a lot of it, you've got to put the onus on some of these players that have been brought for big, big, big money. Live up to that big, big, big price tag that you're talking about.
Okay, cool. Kazilla, we'll come to you as well before we start player ratings. What's your thoughts been the last 24 hours, man?
Yeah, man, it's been dire, obviously. But let me just say one thing. I was hearing what Gregor had to say and whatnot. And one thing we can see with this fan base is getting real toxic between people who are Lampard out and Lampard in and whatnot. But when the platform discuss respectfully and respect both sides of the situation, I think personally that's the best thing, because obviously I'm a Lampard out guy. There's a lot of guys that are Lampard out guys, and obviously Craig over here is a Lampard in guy. But we just got it's a sensitive topic at the end of the day, and you got to deal with this situation because obviously it's a club legend, our greatest ever player. But I think at the end of the day, from what I've seen of Lampard, it's really not good enough, to be fair. In terms of tactics, we don't have a clear style of play. With Lampard, I can see you can coach a competent press, but even the press is poor. The players don't know what they're doing. It looks very unorganized. We're just passing around the back and crossing in the ball, like against Arsenal, crossing the ball into Kante, out of all players. Kante, you know what I'm saying? It's looking dire. Obviously, you can see that the players don't want to play for Lampard. I mean, I've said this many times, but I don't blame them, because obviously we're Chelsea fans. We'd want to play for the manager, but when you've got a manager over there just standing, not even barking orders, just feeling sorry for himself, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be hard for these type of players to play for him. But
can I ask a question very quickly?
Yeah, go on, bro.
So, because I agree with you, this Lampard in out thing needs to be a genuine discussion. It needs to be a discussion where now it just seems like it's a massive argument. So my question for you is the players don't want to play for Frank Lampard, is what you've said, right?
Yeah.
And that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. But do you see the same players? Do you see the 11 players on the pitch and all those involved in the squad, 20 basically now on a match day? Do you look at any of them and think that they will perform for a Tuchel or a Hasenhüttl, who actually, I have to say very quickly, would probably be my choice of successor?
Yeah.
I'll come on to that in a while. But, do you genuinely think there is that desire from the players to be able to go and compete for whatever manager it is, not only Frank, but whoever is the successor? Because, I mean, Frank will have a successor at some point.
Yeah. So, I think with Sarri as well, Sarri did say the players have a mentality issue. I don't know whether to do it's just with Lampard, but obviously we could see the players didn't want to play for Sarri as well. So we don't know. We literally don't know. But I think what Roman and the board need to do is they need to get a very good man manager in. So a person that can bring all of these units together and make everyone play in the certain way, and maybe potentially get the best out of these players, because I don't think Lampard is doing that. I mean, Sarri, I don't know what happened really with Sarri and the players, but it just got toxic really quickly at the end of the day. So I think we need to get a very good man manager in. Like, I think Hasenhüttl, as you said, you could see the players want to play for him. You see the passion he had when the whole team defended against Liverpool. Like for me, if I was playing football, I would want to play for a player. A manager that shows their emotion on the touchline like that. Not Frank Lampard, who's just over there just looking like a lemon. Do you know what I'm saying? He's just looking sad and that. But it's one of them ones, I think.
I agree. And I think to be fair, I honestly don't think that the players aren't playing for him. I think that they've turned on him. I think it's more of a case of, like, you look at that Leicester game, it wasn't like they'd given up in a sense of like, I don't want to play for this guy. It's like, we've already lost and they were 1-0 down 6 minutes in.
Yes.
There's no desire from the players as though we can get back in this, apart from a couple. And this isn't just from like you could make the debate if we're seeing this from like Havertz or Werner or Ziyech, but you're seeing it from players like Reece James, from Kurt Zouma, from Ben Chilwell, from Kovacic. These are players that are experienced, have played for Chelsea for a few years now, or a Chelsea youth, Chelsea through and through, so to speak. If these guys, there's no reason for them to be turning on Lampard or turning on the club. Them giving up is just, it's a weird one. It doesn't make sense. It would, as I said, it would make sense for Havertz because of how you look how he's been treated this season. For Werner, same. For Ziyech, because these guys are new. Especially like Ziyech in the past has had an attitude problem, so you can understand it. Havertz looked like he's unhappy, so again, you can understand it. But seeing it from players, it just doesn't make sense.
All right, well, I think now is the perfect time to go straight into player rating. Guys, if you haven't done so already, I am... How many subs am I off now? I'm 61 subs of 20k. So please, if you guys are new here and you ain't done so already, smash the subscribe button. We're going to go straight into player rating.
I'm going to unsubscribe.
Oh, thanks for that, Craigo. We'll go straight into player rating. We'll start off with the goalkeeper, Edouard Mendy. And to be honest, Edouard Mendy's one of the best players. Kept the scoreline decent. Can't blame him for either of the two goals. The first goal, Johnny Evans was in his way anyway. He literally had to duck in the last minute, so no wonder he was flat-footed to it. Second goal as well, it was more of calamitous defending, if anything, to blame him. But plenty of times, Leicester caught us slipping on the counter-attack. And to be honest, fair play to Edouard Mendy is exactly what we signed him for. He's absolutely massive. And he makes himself known in those 1v1s, which is exactly why Jamie Vardy struggled with the final product. 6 for me. Anyone else want to say anything?
I was going to say 7 just because without him, it's 5 or 6 now.
It's 5 or 6%.
It's easily 5 or 6.
I'd say 6.
I'm more than happy to give him a massive rating because I know we're not going to see a lot of massive ratings today. So I'm going to go for a cheeky little 6.5. And yeah, we'll move on to the next player now. Reece James. Now, he didn't look at his best today. There's a question to ask. Do you think it was another case where he was being rushed back from his injury today?
Partially. I think he had to play. Because you look at how bad, someone mentioned it in the review, you look at how bad Azpilicueta was against Fulham, and that was against Robinson and whoever it was. He would have been against Barnes today. It would have been embarrassing.
Yeah. And
it already was embarrassing. So for me, Reece James had to play. It wasn't a case of too fit or not. He had to play.
Yeah, he was semi-decent going forward. I think even by the high standards that he's had for himself this season, he wasn't at his best. Defensively, though, he absolutely struggled. I can't lie. Defensively, he was getting ripped apart for long
non-existent.
Periods. Exactly that. Second goal, I can't lie. He takes some of the blame. Only some of the blame, though.
He takes a lot.
More to blame. Really, I think it was more Rudiger.
No, well, the fact that he's 5 miles up the pitch and he's jogging back. I mean, really?
Yeah, but it's more Rudiger for going 20 yards ahead to go and deal with a 50-50 that Havertz already had. Yeah. And as soon as that happens, Jamie Vardy's behind him. He now has to go and come back to try and track back for him. And he's obviously not beating him in a leg race, especially when Vardy's already started. So in my opinion, that's what's really caused it. Of course, Reece James was ball watching. And that's part of the reason to blame as well. That's why I say he takes part of the blame. But that still doesn't happen if Rudiger just sits deep. But it's the same thing he did in the FA Cup final as well. You remember Hector Bellerin running forward. He was running forward 30 yards to do nothing except get megged by Bellerin. And then that led to Zuma being in a 2-on-1 position with Lacazette and Aubameyang as well.
I still think that Reece James lacks defensive know-how and what's the word I'm looking for? Almost intelligence. Awareness,
experience.
Yeah, I suppose. But the main thing is we're playing a 4 at the back. We're not playing a 5. You have to do both sides of the game. And Reece James didn't do it for the goal. If he's further back, I can understand why Rudiger went in because Maddison had already hit the bar from 25 yards away from goal.
That's not the thing. It's the earlier one when it goes straight from the goal kick. It's Havertz and one of the Leicester players coming in for the 50-50. Then Rudiger's come in 20 yards to jump in as well.
Yeah, no, I still stand by it. Rudiger is partly at fault, completely. I'm not going to shy away from that. And if that Zuma in that situation, it doesn't happen. So that's got to be
as everyone.
Exactly. That's got to be a question.
Everyone.
Exactly. That's got to be a question. But to completely say that Reece James is only slightly at fault, I think is wrong. I think he was largely at fault for that goal because even the Maddison had so much time. So much free space. It was a joke how much he had. And then you see Reece James jogging back afterwards. That's not good enough.
Yeah. For me, it's like
what rating were you guys going for anyway?
Probably a 3.
I'll go for a 5.
I was going to go for a 4 initially, but I'm hearing a lot worse ones.
Go 3.5.
3.5. Yeah, cool. We'll go for 3.5. That's calm by me. We've already started speaking about him, so we'll just go to him next. Antonio Rudiger.
3, and that's a maximum. A 3, and that's a maximum.
Tony shouldn't have been playing in the first place. Tony should not have been playing in the first place. I can understand why he did play. And you did call it, I remember. I remember you calling it saying Tony was going to play, but fam, the amount of misplaced passes I saw from Tony Rudiger, and the main reason I'm guessing why Lampard wanted to play him is because of his play. Like, he's better than Zuma on the ball and he can start attacks from the back. But some of the passes and defensive positioning from Rudiger on the first goal, shambolic, man, shambolic.
Yeah, I want to ask this question as well. Why is Lampard now preferring Rudiger to Zuma out of nothing? Because Zuma literally
No
complements
idea.
Silva perfectly. Yes, he's shaky on the ball. He is not as shaky as Antonio Rudiger is. What if we brought him on for long balls as well? Because really and truly, all Rudiger was doing was spraying passes around sideways. Some were good, some were dead. Like whatever, I don't care too much about that. But if that's all we have him on the pitch for, Christensen could do that. What's his name? Zuma could do that. Why do we need Rudiger when I think he makes more mistakes than the pair of them?
It's like, for me, it's like the same argument I have with Liverpool fans about Trent. It's like, if that's all you want a player there for, you might as well put like Ziyech at centre back. If that's all you're asking from a defender,
most of our centre backs can spray long passes. Silva can do it. They all can do it. All you want
from a defender is to spray long passes. Put the best passer of the ball at centre back. Regardless of defensive ability, because Rudiger ain't got any, you might as well put your best passer of the ball at centre back. It doesn't make sense. First and foremost, you want defensive ability. Anything else on that, like how good they are in the air, like their ability on the ball, is second. It's an extra. It's a bonus. First and foremost, you want defensive awareness and know-how, and Rudiger's got none.
For me, I have a little conspiracy theory on why I think Rudiger's playing. It's because I think the club wanna get his price for his transfer price a bit higher. So if we play him a lot more, then you could other clubs in Europe might see him as an in-form player or a player that's playing a lot of minutes. So then maybe I think it's just a way we can just offload him for a higher price in the summer. But
do you want to do the same thing with Kepa?
I mean,
Kepa, that's like bottom tier. Like we can't risk that with him. But same way, that's why I wanted to counteract that with why are we risking that against Leicester? If that's what the issue is, cool. I understand you playing him against Fulham a bit more now. And also, he weren't exactly terrible against Fulham, so I'm not going to start saying he was poor in that game either. But let's just see the team who was about to go top of the league against us if they got a victory. And why are we experimenting with our back five in that game?
And you've got possibly the second most informed striker in the league, arguably.
Exactly. So why are we experimenting with Rudiger in that game? It's clear and simple that should have been Thiago Silva and Kurt Zuma. And we've been so poor aerially the last two games. Surprise, surprise. Who's not in the squad? Kurt Zuma.
So Leicester have conceded the most goals from set pieces this season, and we have scored them. We have scored the most goals from set pieces.
It's the Chelsea thing, man.
We hit the target on multiple occasions from headers, but funny enough, they don't go in. So my question would be, the one player that has scored the most times from us for us from set pieces is Kurt Zuma. Why is he not playing?
If anything, that's our most consistent link-up, Mason Mount and Kurt Zuma off a corner.
Exactly.
So why have we changed that? So what? Leicester City have now scored their first corner in over 100 attempts against us.
Are they counting that as a corner?
I don't know.
Bro, they haven't scored in over 106 attempts. They're taking
but I think that might be a little bit unfair to count that as a goal from a corner.
I mean, it was the short corner, but right now we look like this, like Aisha said, Charity FC yet again.
It was more the fact that it's the miss hit and then the 25-yard strike or whatever it is, then the short corner and played and whatever. It was short corner and it's played out to Barnes and Barnes smashes it in. Fair enough, that's a goal from a corner, but the miss hit which then put it on a plate for him, I think is a little bit unfair, but there we are.
All right, cool. Final rating for Rudiger. What are we going for, guys?
3.
Three's all around. Cool. Let's move on to Thiago Silva. Again, one of the more promising players out today, but it was a bad bunch all round. He did struggle with the transition from attack to defense a lot. I can't lie. And he was bypassed by Vardy a good amount of times. The same way I thought he dealt with himself as well when he could. He was going to get done for pace. We were playing a high line because Leicester City was sitting deep, which meant that whenever they transitioned, it was going to be one of those games that Thiago Silva struggled with. I still think he handled himself pretty well given the circumstances, but also by his high expectations, it wasn't a good game by all sorts. But what are you guys' thoughts anyway?
The thing I'd like to point out very quickly as well is it's happened on a few occasions. Chelsea have become very easy to play against because teams score early against us and they can afford to sit back and park the bus. The same thing that West Brom did months and months and months ago. They scored early, they defended a 3-goal lead and they gave it away, whatever. But a Man City doesn't do that. Leicester don't do that. So many different things. Thiago Silva is likely to get caught out because when we play that high line, yeah, fine. You know, we can all see that. That's fucking obvious. But if we score first in the game, if we start with a better mentality and we actually go 1-0 up, the game starts to go more in our favour. And there's things that can be worked on like that. But I honestly, this sounds terrible, bar the Fulham game and the Morecambe game. When was the last time we took the lead? Early in the first half.
Sevilla? Like, I'm actually going to research this.
Newcastle?
That's far enough that the point can still stand. But let me just check anyway, because now I do want to know.
I think.
We're not counting the top games.
No. And the Fulham game, I mean, obviously we scored late anyway. But when did we go 1-0 up in the first half? I'd be really interested to know.
West
not the
Ham.
Leeds game. We were 1-0 down.
West Ham, we were lucky with that, to be fair.
Yeah, West Ham's a massive false image. I was about to ignore that one, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Sevilla's in the Champions League.
No, Krattendal we went behind. Never mind.
Newcastle, we went 1-0 up early, but that was an own goal.
God, what the hell?
That was an own goal, man. I don't even know if I can count that. Okay,
You've got to start quickly, and it makes the game easier for us. We're not doing it.
We're going behind in every game I'm looking at, and then coming back.
Sheffield, no, we didn't.
We went
the Champions League ones either. Burnley, ZH 26 minutes. I mean, that's still not really early, but whatever.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Timo Werner, 15 minutes against Southampton.
Jesus.
There we go. Jeez.
Right. And we drew 3-3.
Oh, a lot of people saying Wolves. Wolves, we didn't take the lead early. That was second half.
Second half, that was.
Yeah, that's exactly the point, isn't it? Thiago Silva's rating, guys. What are you saying?
I'd say a 5. I think, as you said, he didn't do much wrong. The only thing for me he did wrong was like a whole team thing where we were too high as a team. Defensive line was too high and it ended up costing him a bit, but that wasn't solely his fault. That's how we set up as a team.
All right, cool. We're gonna go to Ben Chilwell next.
Oh,
now,
can we give
Ben
minus
Chilwell?
numbers?
This guy got put in a spliff like a stagnating Brighton.
Can we give minus numbers, Lewis?
Yeah, you know what? Just chat to me because he offered
-4.
A wage, bro.
genuinely terrible. And the jar have a 0 out of 10 performance, and you're hugging your.
Oh.
And he does a lot. Anyone want to add to it, or are we just going to go 0-9?
Mike Lewis is a bit quiet still.
Lewis, your mic's messing up a little bit.
Was that me?
Yeah, Mike was messing up a little bit.
He wasn't good.
We really wasn't good. Right.
Just
Now, guys, we good?
Yeah, that's
much
better.
better.
Like, I can understand
cool.
if you're not brilliant going forward, if you're offering something in defence, but he literally offered nothing. We might as well have not had him on the pitch.
Yes. Like playing with 10 men.
It's like playing with 9, as we'll get to someone later on, for me.
Yeah, we'll start talking about the midfield. But Chilwell really didn't offer anything today. I don't know if he was distracted with the fact that he was back at his home ground, because he seems like the type that's getting distracted very easily. But abysmal defensively, very toothless going forward. Nice attempts from crosses, but they never really led to anything, and they weren't really that threatening either. So what rating are we going for, guys?
3 or 2.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
2.5. Cool. We'll go for a 2.5.
performance.
Let's go to the lone DM, Mateo Kovacic. Now, this is exactly like the Jorginho performance against Fulham for me, where it's a case of preference. If you're going to be happy with someone just continuing the play and just keeping possession and everything like that, Kovacic would have had a good job. Very energetic. But if you're talking about having actual impact in the game, nothing. Barely any actual threatening passes. Started conceding a lot of fouls towards the second half as well. Struggled to provide cover as well with the high line because we were pushing too many bodies forward. Was energetic, which is like the smallest positive I can give this guy. But other than that, there weren't really much to his game today. Guys, what are you saying?
The one problem I had with him is this problem we know he's got, which is that he's too... This is weird to say, but he's almost too mobile. He won't, as a DM,
Yes.
and it's not his fault because I'll say this till I'm blue in the face, he's never been a DM in his life.
We were all saying it on the preview, on the match lineup reaction here as well. Exact same thing.
And then at Real Madrid was the box-to-box in a 2. The guy's never been a DM. And so I can't expect him to sit back and be that, like, the sitting one who's going to make the challenges. He likes to roam about, which is a problem for your lone DM.
Mhm.
But again, that's not his fault. Like I can't blame him for doing what he's good at.
With Kovacic,
Exactly that.
main problem I have with Kovacic, right, is he's the type of player, if you watch the game, he looks very good on the eye, but he's not really doing anything at the end of the day. His decision making is all over the place. When he sits deep, he's never been a 6, as Scott said. He's never been a 6, but he's never been a player who's good in the final third. So I don't see Kova as a starter for us in the future, but he might be a good bench option coming off or playing against a team that press high to alleviate the pressure. But I don't think Kovacic has a place in the team.
I think Chelsea have lacked a bit of height in the centre of the park for quite a while, being that defensive midfield role. And I think if you could play Kovacic next to that big presence, maybe I keep saying I'd love to go after Declan Rice or even someone like Ndidi. I would have gone and got Decore in the summer. I really like him. Now he's doing bits at Everton.
No, it would have been Alan. Alan was the one we should have got.
No, I quite like Decore. But anyway, if you could have played someone like that next to him, I think we could have had some sort of success. But I mean, him and Mount both got, I thought, quite isolated. But you know, they run around a lot. They do certain things that are good. So I'd probably go middle of the road as a 5 for him. But again, you know, we can all agree he's not a number 10. He's not a number 6. He is a number 8. That is his role.
But that's the thing. Like the only thing I think he could really need to improve on to actually be looked at as world class is just his passing. The final ball constantly lets this guy down all the time.
Yeah, I agree. And it's something we've been saying from when Sarri was in. He improved it last year. Like last year, we started to see a bit more of it, and it's just gone completely the opposite way. It's now regressed to the point where we're looking at like where we were under Sarri, where we're like, do we really want to sign this guy permanently? But he's here now. It's like we can't do anything about it.
On the flip side of it, though, as well, one thing I will say in his defence, again, we go behind, teams sit back against us, sits very deep. I saw Hakim Ziyech try and play some passes last night to break lines down, and he had any luck. I think it is slightly circumstantial, but you know his final ball does need to improve. It just gets made a lot harder when teams do sit back against us, which is completely fair and part of the game, and something that maybe he's not as used to from coming from Spain and from Italy and such as well. So it's just a little bit different, but it's still not anything to say that he's currently playing to a world class level.
Yeah. All right, well, final ratings, guys.
I say 5.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, 5 seems a bit of a fair one. We'll go to next midfielder, Mason Mount. Probably our best midfielder of the game. Yeah, as per usual. What was that?
Hardest working player.
Yep, definitely. That was the word I was about to use. Hard working, as per usual, from Mason Mount. Not as creative as he usually was, but again, when they've got everybody behind the ball, like you're going to struggle to find those gaps to ping balls in anyway. Struggled to have influence on the game, but his movement off the ball, everything like that is more or less what dragged him through it. So I'd give him a 5.5, but let me know what you guys' thoughts are.
Yeah, 5.5, 6 is what I was thinking, so I'd go with a 5.5.
I'd have gone 6 or 7. I just like the fact that he showed a pair of bollocks, and many people didn't.
Yeah, he's the only one that looks like to be playing under this manager.
Like, say that again, Cos?
He looks like the only player that seems to be playing for this manager at the end of the day. But I want to ask you guys a question, because I've been going back and forth with people about whether people think Mason Mount will be starting under any other manager, or if this team is built around Mason Mount in the sense that this team is functioned around Mason Mount to get the best out of him. So we're seeing the best out of Mason Mount purely because of the system that Lampard plays. I want to ask you guys that question.
I think the same thing for England, if not better.
I think it depends. I think we've been seeing the last couple of games that he's kind of played 2 different roles against Fulham.
But I'm not sure if that is him.
He was the more attacking one. He was on getting forward a bit more, and you saw with his comments about his goal that he wanted to get into the box more. But in this one, he was more of the box-to-box, picking the ball up a bit deep and kind of driving with it. And Havertz was the further forward one. So we're seeing him in 2 slightly different roles. So you could say he's building around him, but it's not like he's the one that's constantly the creative force. So I don't really know.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say something, but okay. All right. Final thoughts on Mason Mount, then, guys. Rating.
6. I'd agree with Craig.
Yeah, I'd go for a 6 too.
All right, cool. Go for a 6. That should be the highest marking that we have for a player today. Then, who are we missing? Kai Havertz. There he is. Thoughts on Kai Havertz's performance today? Now, in some ways, I kind of think he was our most creative midfielder to a point. Like, again, it's really hard to try and have opportunities when Leicester have everyone behind the ball. But people are saying Kai Havertz was terrible. I think, like, low-key, he didn't have a bad performance, in my opinion.
The thing I keep seeing about him is that he didn't run enough. Bro, like, it's like getting Messi and playing him as a CDM. Like,
Yeah.
you know what Havertz is best at? Not putting him in a position where he has to do things he's not comfortable with. All of our good play, like, our best 2 bits of play, where we got the free kick and he made the run through and Chilwell played him in. And he went around the defender, but the goalkeeper came and collected the ball. Was through him. It was through a bit of movement no one else had, and for a bit of quick passing. It came from him, and I understand that he might not do as much in terms of the off the ball stuff, but it's because he's never done that. He's not that type of player. And it's us, as I said, it's like getting Messi and asking him to play CDM. It's just not going to work because you're not asking him to do what he's best at. And all the good bits I saw were the only positives, bar the Mount and like how hard he worked.
All right, Craig, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've kind of got to a point where I'm not expecting a lot from him, which sounds terrible. So I didn't think that he was that bad yesterday because probably my expectations are low. But again, at the same time, he did look creative at some points. But he's another one that struggled to break down a solid, 2 banks of 4 or bank of 4 and a bank of 5. In Leicester, he's not going to be the only one that's going to struggle to do it this season. He was okay, I suppose. But again, it just speaks volumes that I wasn't overly expecting a hell of a lot more, unfortunately.
All right, well, final ratings, I'm going to go for a 5 for him, but what are you guys' thoughts?
I'd say 6, personally.
I'd go 5.5.
I'm not saying
I would say 4. But...
4?
Yeah. Wow.
Damn. Really?
I'll go in the middle though and go 5. But
for me, he looks like one of the only players that looked like they were trying to make stuff happen when he was on the pitch. For me,
it was a struggle for him, but it was a struggle for everybody. So I can't just give him that excuse and then just try and take it away from other people. Before I go to the next player, I do want to say we are now under 50 subs away from 20k. So if you guys are watching and you haven't subscribed already, Wasteman Craigo, if you guys haven't subscribed already, hit the like and subscribe button down below. Make my day very pleased. I would really, really, really hope we get there. But let's see what the next player is saying. Callum Hudson-Odoi. Our best winger again, substituted again. Didn't have much to do yesterday except for a few dribbles and hitting the side netting, but we were so poor going forward. That was probably one of our better plays in the match. Tried to make an impact, but again, just struggled to create anything. Craig, I'm going to you first because you already sound like you don't agree with what I said. Go on.
I don't know if he was our best winger. At least Pulisic gave a little bit of an effort, and he did almost win a penalty for us. He went a little bit more direct. I just think Callum struggled. It's not surprising, though. He hasn't played a lot of football. It's nothing against him. But it was a bit of a strange one. Again, trying to break down 2 solid banks of 4. Plus, he went up against, oh my God, what's the fullback's name? Justin?
Yeah, James
went up against Justin, who's in incredible form as well. He just, I don't know. It's not that I wasn't impressed by him. I just think that it was very circumstantial. I think that he had to play because of how he's been performing recently, but he's been performing recently not necessarily against a player of the caliber of Justin. So it's a little bit of an irritating one, but I wouldn't say that he was our best winger. I'm not saying that Pulisic was miles better than him, but I can't say he was our best winger.
Oh, if you prefer Pulisic, that's fair play. But low-key, I didn't think Pulisic offered nearly as much as Hudson-Odoi. But I say nearly as much, it's like margins between the pair of them because they barely offered anything in the whole game. Kazilla, what about you? What's your thoughts?
I think Callum should have played the whole 90. To be fair, I mean, it didn't look like he was doing much, but he looked a lot more direct. So when he was running at the plays, at least the Leicester defenders were were backing up against him. Though you could see he was trying to make stuff happen. But I think Callum should have played the whole 90. And this is like an overall arching problem I do have with Lampard and whatnot. Certain players play every single game, and it's getting tiring for me. And it's going to stunt some of our youth, like Callum. I mean, Pulisic and Ziyech are very injury-prone wingers. So for me, you should split the time between Callum Hudson-Odoi and Pulisic and give Ziyech most of the playing time because he's an established person. But I think Callum should have played the whole 90 for me. He was trying to make stuff happen, as I said, but he was a bit wasteful. But what's this going to do with to his confidence at the end of the day if he keeps on getting taken off at 60th minute, 70th minute, 65th minute? It's not going to do anything for Callum. So I think Callum today, he was all right, but we expect a lot more out of him. But I don't think he should have came off at the end of the day.
I think me and Scott might be able to agree here that Callum Hudson-Odoi was a little bit unlucky due to the fact that he was attempting to aim for in the box. Bearing in mind,
I'll get to it, don't you worry.
Yeah. I don't want to steal your thunder, but I think Callum's job was made a lot harder by the lack of movement that was in the box, and that not only come from a certain player that Scott will rip into momentarily, but also from a few other people, the likes of Kai Havertz and even Mount. Some late arrivals. It just got very predictable what Callum was going to have to do, and they dealt with it very well. It's not necessarily his fault, but it's a team effort. He can whip balls in the box, but they're only bloody useful if people in the right places are making 5 yards for themselves to get on the end of it.
All right, well, guys, final rating for Callum Hudson-Odoi?
Let's say a 4 or 5.
I'd go 5.
All right, we're getting a bunch of 4 and 5, so we're going to go with 4.5 for Callum Hudson-Odoi. Moving on to the second winger out the two, because we already started speaking about him earlier. Christian Pulisic sparked into life with a few dribbles, but it didn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. I thought he had to come centrally for more involvement towards the end of the first half, start of the second. What was that?
I wonder why.
Hey, because there was sitting a bunch of players behind the ball. You could barely drive forward with it.
And he wasn't giving any fucking help by the left
most
back.
of the time, struggled to breach Leicester, but it's the same thing for all the other wingers. What are you guys' thoughts?
I don't understand what's happened to him since the Wolves game. You look at that Wolves game, and he was making Nelson Semedo and then whoever their left back was look stupid.
Yep.
But they couldn't handle him. And ever since
Was
then...
that his first game back from injury, though?
Possibly, but you look at,
One of them.
that's even weirder.
That might be why for me, though, because he probably just comes back, he's feeling a bit fresh, needs to make an impression for himself. But over the next few games, I don't know whether it's more mental with him. He's holding himself back a little bit too much.
The best thing he's the closest thing that we've had. I'm not just saying this because he was a replacement. In terms of the low centre of gravity, the way he moves with the ball, he's the closest thing we've got to Hazard in terms of how he gets past people. But he doesn't use it enough. Like, for as good as the Leicester players are, especially their fullbacks, they are a bit prone to being able to get in behind, but we're not seeing enough of that. We weren't seeing enough. It's the same with the Fulham game. And the fact they were playing a back five and how high Robinson and Tete were, you can get at them, but there's not enough. And I don't understand. It's his best attribute, and he's not using it.
I think his job was made harder by Chilwell not being able to. Not being able to bomb forward is the wrong word. The inability to have a little bit of confidence and try and make the opposition think. It was very easy to play against Pulisic yesterday because they knew that he was going to have to do it by himself because Chilwell was going to offer nothing. Every time he came forward, he was just timid as shit. So they know that if the ball goes wide, they've just got to deal with Pulisic. That makes life easier for Leicester. And I think, although, I agree, I haven't seen things from Pulisic in the last couple of weeks that have made me go, wow. But still, the fact of the matter is that, you are right. You are able to get in behind Leicester. They are good, but they are not. By no means are they unbreakable. I never saw anything from Pulisic yesterday, but I think that's it's a combination of things rather than purely him alone.
Oh, yeah, I'd never look at that one individual performance and think, this was all Pulisic's fault, or we lost because of Christian Pulisic. It's a team failure, but it's the same way. I didn't really see much from Christian Pulisic. You can debate who was the better winger out of the pair of them, but you didn't really see much out of either.
No, neither.
Exactly. I'm not going to sit here and die on the Callum Hudson-Odoi was better one, but what's your rating anyway?
What did we give Callum?
Yeah.
Five
No,
or
Christian.
4.5.
No, we gave him 4.5. We gave him 4.5.
Pulisic 4.5. Then if there's not that much between them.
Yeah, cool. 4.5 works just as good for me. Let's go to striker up front. Tammy
Take
Abraham.
the floor, Scott.
You want to talk about these guys, someone being invisible? I hear so much about I don't want Werner to start. Werner doesn't deserve to start. Werner's missed loads of chances. I don't care if he misses 100 chances. He's got better link-up play, movement, vision, everything. The guy came on and played as a 10 to get the ball, and he was better than Tammy Abraham. Tammy's got no link-up ability in him whatsoever. His movement was horrible. It was bad.
I'll come in. I don't think his movement was terrible. I just think whenever he got the ball down, he was just swarmed.
No, Lewis, you're blind as fuck.
I mean,
Really?
Like, there was the ball over the top that he got where he had free chemistry. But there are times when, like,
I just thought he barely had any space to do anything half the time.
The one that annoyed me was the one, I don't know who it was that got on the ball. They went for a 1-2, played it into him, and he ran past the ball. It's not even like the ball was played behind him. The ball was played in front of him, and he ran past it. When when Werner's coming on and showing more to me in 20 minutes in terms of, as I said, movement, going off the last man, link-up play especially. And as I said, the guy was playing as a 10. He wasn't playing as a striker when he came on. That's how deep he was dropping. He's offering more in 20 minutes than Tammy offered in the whole game. Like, Tammy's a decent striker, but he's not got everything. And for me, this game showed why. As I said, I don't care if Werner misses 100 chances. He deserves to be starting every single game.
Werner over Tammy anyway, but that's always because he can create his own chances just like that. Like, Tammy can't do that. Nowhere near as much as Timo Werner has.
I think one thing very quickly from me is the whole idea of playing Havertz and playing especially Timo against Morecambe was to get a little bit of a confidence boost. And I understand not playing him against Fulham because we knew they were going to play with a back five or back three or whatever you want to call it. And it was going to be very tough for him to play up front. You know, that's tactical. That's a tactical choice. But playing against Leicester yesterday, Soyuncu is the bigger centre half of the three of their main kind of choices, shall we say, Fofana, Evans and Soyuncu. Soyuncu wasn't playing. If you'd have gone ahead, Timo Werner would have had a hell of a lot of space to be able to run into. And I think that you've got to be able to build on some sort of a confidence thing. And you saw that when Werner came on, he put the ball in the back of the net. Unfortunately, he was offside, you know, and it is right. But fucking hell, how close was it? I think you've got to be able to build on it, and Timo needs to play more games for me. I understand that maybe he's not hitting the ground running, but the only way he's going to hit the ground running and build up his confidence is by scoring goals. And to score goals, you've got to play games.
All right, cool. Let's get the final ratings for Tammy Abraham out then. Because, yeah, this one's not coming out as well as I thought it would. But go on, guys. You said 1, Craigo.
Yeah.
I'd give him a 3, man. Like, with Tammy... With Tammy, have you guys seen that meme of Lukaku when he plays football in jeans and Timberland boots? That's what reminds me when Tammy Abraham plays. I'm telling you, bro. I don't think he's a Chelsea striker. Like, he was all good. Like, a lot of these guys, they were good for last season, where we were last season. But if we want to step up, if we want to take that next step, a lot of these guys have to go. I don't care where they go. Whether they're
I don't know.
For me, he can be a Chelsea striker, but he's the backup. He's not the starting striker. He's the backup.
I agree with that.
Like, last 20 minutes, you know, gets like 10, 15 goals a season from the bench. Sort of what Giroud is at the minute, or like Giroud was, you know, when he was the second choice.
Yeah.
But he's not a starter. It's not a starter.
I agree with that.
All right, let's go through the substitutes quickly. We'll start off with Timo Werner. And we did look a lot more exciting when he came onto the pitch. We looked a lot more capable of creating something. That offside goal as well is absolutely...
It was not even inches, it was like millimeters, man.
Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. Like, any other teams would probably get a goal for that. It all depends on whoever's in the VAR room at the time, because it's literal millimeters that call that BS. But chat to me about Werner's performance. There wasn't really a lot of time for him to do anything, but I thought in the time that he played, he was still able to create a few chances.
For me, when Werner came on, Werner looked like he was trying to make stuff happen again. Like, when the ball came to Werner, he was being direct, running at players, passing it on. And for me, that goal should have been counted, because if you saw the replay of the VAR now, when they took when they showed you the snapshot photo, when they brought out the lines and whatnot, Ricardo Pereira's arm was playing Timo on, and Timo just got a touch to it, and they should have let the goal stand. But I'm not even going to complain about VAR two stuff. You know what I'm saying? But for me, Timo's all right today. When he came on, there was a spark about him. He wanted to prove himself, but he didn't have enough time to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah,
Final rating. Go on, Scott. What are you saying?
I agree. Like, I just think, as I said, when he was having to drop so deep to collect the ball, and he was still creating stuff, and it's like, I understand he misses loads, but you've said this from the start of the season. That's the type of player he is. That's the type of striker he is. He misses a lot, but he scores a lot. It's the same with like Aubameyang. Aubameyang at Arsenal misses a lot, but scores a hell of a lot as well, because it's just the type of striker they are. They're very similar in the way they play, and yeah, it's just not. Yeah, I just think it's too. Him not playing, like constantly coming out of the squad, is just like really reactionary at times. I think.
You got to back him. Got to back him.
Final player out of the lot, Hakim Ziyech, and again, didn't really have much time to do anything in the time he was on the pitch.
Yeah.
Had one little shot at Schmeichel, but other than that, not really much to it. I could just really give him a 5 and move on.
Yeah, like he didn't do anything, but it wasn't because like he didn't offer anything. It just he never had the ability to do anything.
Exactly that. Final one, the manager.
Two
Now,
comments in his
Oh,
comments
God.
in the interview in the end, a 1 or a 2. I was going to give him a 4 or a 5 and be like, apart from a couple of the lineup, wasn't too bad. Those comments in the end, in the pre-match interview, unacceptable. You can't be telling me that this team, after you spent 70 million on Havertz, 50 or 60 million, wherever it was on Werner, you've signed one of the best centre-backs in the world in terms of ability, regardless of age, when you're signing one of the best passers in the world. Like, you can't tell me we can't challenge. You can't tell me we haven't got a better squad than Leicester, than Villa, than we haven't got a squad on the level of United. Don't tell me that, and then don't come out and say that you've got no blame in where we are. Don't say that.
yeah, he really didn't cover himself in glory with that post-match press conference, and that was one of the worst parts, because we were speaking about this afters on the phone, and I usually can rely on Frank Lampard's post-match presses. They usually leave me feeling a lot better about the match afterwards. This one, I'm just sitting there, is like, what? So we're now saying we've spent nearly 300 million to still not be able to compete for anything at this point. We're still going to go and put all of the blame on the players and not take any of it for yourself. Like, it was a really damaging press conference for himself, in my opinion.
You know what it is, Lewis, yeah. For me, Frank looks like a desperate man now. He looks like a very desperate man. The pressure's on him. Do you know what I'm saying? The lineup was very questionable today. The reason he didn't bring in Zuma, I don't know the reason. I would like to know the reason. I would love to see Billy Gilmore play today, but at the end of the day, it comes back every single game. It comes back to the fact that this man is out of his depth, and I've been saying this for the longest time. This man is out of his depth. No one can tell me that this guy's playing style can win us games against big teams. Do you know what I'm saying?
Beat Man City last year.
But we're relying on the counter
last
attack.
year.
How many counter attacks?
Beat Man United last year.
Nah,
Beat
I
Arsenal last year.
I get what you're saying, but against
Beat
Liverpool,
Tottenham last year.
against Liverpool,
Shall I go on?
and do you know? Hear me out. Against Liverpool and City, we relied on the counter attack. Now, how many goals have we scored from counter attacks this season?
Yeah, no, I will agree. I will agree with that completely. The one thing I will say is Chelsea looked a hell of a lot better this season when we were able to defend and we were defensively set. That was when Mendy came in, and it was very stable. Right, we know we're going to play the back four of blah 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 with Mendy in goal, and we were able to build on that, and we were able to use the counter attack. I remember going to Newcastle. We went 1-0 up, as we were saying, and the game was weird the whole way through. But we had chances to go on the counter attack and score goals. Leeds, they had pressure on us at 2-1 up, I think we were, and we scored one late. We've got the ability to score on the counter attack, but we have to be defensively set, and that comes from some individual performances from Chilwell and from James, especially when you've left the other two yesterday, isolated as they were. I do feel a little bit sorry for them, but also the one thing I do want to say, about Frank, because again, look, I believe in Frank. I think that he can do it. But I think it really there was a big highlight yesterday, something that was definitely a problem, is we had 3 subs we could have made, and we made 2. Does that?
We had 4 defenders in the subs bench as well.
I didn't realise that
Well,
until I looked afterwards.
It's the
Yeah.
same thing every week.
4.
It's the same thing every week.
But also one thing my point on that is, does Frank believe in his squad that there was someone on the bench of other than obviously Ziyech and Werner? Is there someone that was included in the 9 potential players that could have made a difference? I remember we played at West Brom and we looked hell of a lot better when we played with the back 3. I think that's something that could be considered, because then you allow Reece James and Chilwell to be able to go and do your forward work again, get yourself defensively set, and then maybe we look a little bit different. I don't know.
I know, but then we could have just started with that initially, and then we wouldn't have to deal with going 1-0 down in 6 minutes, because then it means we can't do that.
I think we can all agree that Lampard has regressed as a manager from last season, because
I
think from last season, right, his back really wasn't against the wall because we didn't spend any money. So it was really an experimental type thing. So he could play whatever formation he liked. He could switch it up, and there was really no pressure on him. But at Derby, we knew that he played a 4-3-3. And now we're seeing that this formation that he did play at Derby, and this is the style of play that he wants to play, all we're doing is literally crossing the ball into the box to anyone. And I'm tired of it.
But that is made harder by the fact that we go 1-0 down so quickly, constantly.
Well, we're not going to score, though.
So we went 1-0 down to Arsenal, and they parked the bus and scored more goals on the counter attack.
Yeah, but
you then look at the other side. You look at Man City. We go 1-0 down, 2-0 down, 3-0 down. They just park the bus. There's so many different things. We've got to be defensively set before we can do anything. And I understand why he's playing a 4-3-3, but I do still think that he needs a big presence. So if you do want to go and get, and get a likes of a Declan Rice, if he is able to go and sit with the back 2, whoever that be, and allow the fullbacks to go on, then maybe we look a little bit different. But I wouldn't say that he's regressed. I would say that his job's changed. But I don't think he has regressed.
But I don't think spending more money is the issue here. Our squad is competent. We've got a very good squad. We've got a top 4 squad.
It's too big.
I don't think that's a problem though, mate. Because I think if we can go player for player with every single team in the league, and I can guarantee you that there's another manager out there. Any other manager can get a kick out of these players and will not be playing the same way, because the style of play and the tactics that Lampard employs are just not good enough. And I'm tired of it.
I still think the squad's too big. And I think that if Lampard had a smaller squad where we were able to play the same back 4, same goalkeeper, same midfield 3, same forwards every single week, the job would look a little bit different for him. I'm not going to say that he's going to go and win the league, because I can't prove that. But I think the job would look a little bit easier for him when you've got to deal with so many big personalities. Someone like, Rudiger, obviously he's played the last couple of games, but I don't imagine a huge personality like Rudiger for the last 5 months of the season or whatever it is, pretty much since the Bayern game, he's going to look at it and go, well, I want to sit on the bench. You've got to be able to move some of these players on just for the sanity of the team.
He had the options to go on loan and he didn't take it.
Why would you?
I don't want to play neither, but the point is still stands.
This year's been very difficult for Chelsea. We're trying to let go of players because of obviously the C word that I can't say because I want to get your video monetized first. No worries, I got you, G. It's been a very difficult situation, and I think genuinely if we could get rid of a fair few players, the likes of Jorginho, I've said it, I like him, but the 50 million quid sitting on the bench there, that can't be an easy problem to deal with. You've got Christensen and Rudiger. One of those is a £40 million player sitting on the bench as well. That can't be an easy problem to deal with. I won't say Frank Lampard has regressed, but I will say the job has been made a lot harder for him.
But let me just counter back to your point that Gregor, because you're saying that squad's too big and whatnot. I don't think that should be a problem, because now because our squad's so big. No, because our squad's so big, it gives Lampard the option to adapt to teams, because we've got a variety. We've got Jorginho,
but players aren't playing week in, week out. So I understand the point. I understand what you're saying. But these players aren't playing week in, week out. So the problem you've then got is, are you going to be able to get the same performances out of those players when you go, oh, okay, so we're going to likely to have more possession against Fulham. Let's play Jorginho because he's going to keep the ball better for us. Are you going to get the same performance out of him when he hasn't played for the previous 3 weeks? To someone who's playing week in, week out, I don't think that's going to be the case. And there's also, let's not forget, there's certain players that haven't played in months as well. Like that's bad. Like Alonso, he's a little bit of a hero at one point, because obviously we won the league with him at left back and he was scoring goals and whoop-de-doo. Why is he there? Why is he there? Someone like that needs to move on. It can't be easy to deal with something like that.
Alonso would be also trying to find a team for him. Like, I'm not surprised we're struggling to get suitors
Oh,
to get him.
you'd be able to find like an Italian team or like a mid-table Spanish team that will take
Yeah.
him. Right? But Villarreal, Alberto Moreno as their left back, will be calm. Villarreal, Alberto Moreno as their left back will be calm trying to find a team for Alonso.
Yeah.
It's about the price. It's all about what we will accept for him.
1 second. He's on 100k a week. That's
That's the
be
problem.
hard to try and get past.
Mm-hmm.
And that's half of these players that we're trying to get rid of. By the way, Ben Chilwell, our highest earner. I can't believe that.
Is he?
Sorry?
On 150k a week. We're trying to get rid of him. Jorginho's on 110k a week.
Yep.
Marcus Alonso 100k. Drinkwater 100k.
Hell.
Fucking Baba Rahman is on 94k a week.
What?
Antonio Rudiger is on 100k a week. Emerson's on 75k a week. It just gets a bit easier from them. But look at the players they're already trying to get past. Ross Barkley, I know, is on 100k a week plus. Batshuayi's on 100k a week. We've also got Victor
Easy to come back to us soon.
Malangsar, Bakayoko, Lewis Baker, Brown, Miazga, all these players that we need to get off the wage bill that we can't.
Yeah. There's a big problem.
It's probably a big struggle for Lampard in itself. I can give him that.
It is. I'm not saying it's the 100% excuse, but it is something that does need to be factored in.
Exactly that, but that on top of the other things, I don't know. I just find it really hard to defend him overall.
It's been bad business for the club for a few years, like Bubba Rahman and Drinkwater. I mean, obviously that speaks for itself. What's Giroud on? Have you got the list in front of you?
Yeah, I can get Giroud's on 100k a week as well, but he probably won't be here next season. Oh,
I
100.
just can't get around. Baba Rahman's on basically 100k a week.
Baba Rahman is on the same wage, and Danny Drinkwater is on the same wage as Olivier Giroud, World Cup winner Olivier Giroud.
And Ross Barkley, don't forget him, and Bakayoko too.
See,
Yeah,
that's bad business from Chelsea that we're still paying for.
I can
Exactly, that's
understand
what I'm
a little bit like why we've paid these players. Like you look at Barkley and then Bakayoko, they've shown me something at other clubs to understand. We gave Baba Rahman 100k a week.
And have been doing it for the last 5 years.
On 100k a week, man. We took the piss for about 4.5 years until Lampard joined, which at the very least, that's one thing that we fixed up since Lampard's joined. Like, our transfer activity has changed levels since then.
Yes.
We took the piss with our money before he joined.
But even now, we can see Tomori's probably on the way out. Do you know what I'm saying? Who knows if Hudson-Odoi is going to be here? Do you know what I'm saying?
The Maldini co-sign, and now he's got an option to buy. Like, that's a slap in the face.
Like, I genuinely think, right, if this was a completely different manager, everyone would want him out. But now, like, there's still certain parts of our fan base that still want this manager in. Like, at the end of the day, we support the club.
So most people want Lampard out. Most Chelsea fans want Lampard out.
At the end of the day,
You really think it's not like that? Because I feel if there was match-going fans here, we'd be thinking
yeah. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Most fans that you will see on Twitter want Lampard out. I think there'll be a vast difference to the ones that were going in the breach, and I think that this is not the case for only Chelsea. There's many clubs. Their seasons would look very different if there was fans in the stands.
I won't lie. Most of the people I'm seeing on my timeline on Twitter are Lampard out. Sorry, Lampard. Yeah, Lampard in. I don't know about this. I'm just following the wrong people. Not the wrong people.
You're following the good crop.
I can't lie though. I am glad we aren't in grounds because of how toxic it would be in there right now. I
don't think it would have got to this stage. Honestly,
really.
I don't think it would have got to this stage. No,
I don't think it would have been in grounds. I reckon after games, man.
To the grounds, or do you think the fan base would move like that?
Sorry, say that again. You kind of broke up.
Okay, so you think it would be different with fans and grounds? Do you think the teams would be performing better as a result, or do you think that the fan base wouldn't be as toxic if we're in this position?
The fan base being toxic is the ones that you're seeing on Twitter, the ones that you see on TV, the ones that you hear at the stadiums when you actually go to games. There's a very different vibe around the two. I mean, you've got what's that crappy?
There's fans that want Lampard out anyway. Like, yeah, we want Lampard out, but
there's always both sides of it. There's always both sides of it. But the voice that you're hearing is the one that is negative on Twitter. The voice you'd be hearing in the stadiums is one that would be positive.
Okay. But you know what is when it comes to the match going fans, there's a lot of tribalism. Obviously, supporting the club comes with tribalism, but they're going to back Frank Lampard no matter what because he's the club legend. They're going to give him that much time because he's a club legend. There's, you know what I'm saying? The points and the results come over any manager. So if we can see that there's a manager clearly not doing what he needs to do and not getting a kick out of these players and not having a clear set style of play which is effective against most teams and regressing, then people should be Lampard out.
But
At the end of the day,
I do think that the players would have a very different sorry, let me rephrase that. I think the players would be putting a hell of a lot better performances if there was fans in the stands, because the fans, you know, we've all been at Chelsea when fans have been booing. You know, it has happened. You've gone in at half time. The fans have booed. There is a difference when it comes out for the second half. Maybe not for all the players, but for a fair few of them. I don't think if we could physically be there to have our voice heard in the game, that I don't think this happens. I don't think we go on this long old run of losses and whatever. And I don't think that the job gets that hard for Frank Lampard. I know obviously what you're saying, but I don't think the job gets that hard for Frank Lampard if there's fans in the stands already.
Okay, but in that case, I'll switch it then. Do you think the negativity would turn more to the players then?
I don't think
I think it would turn to certain players, maybe. I think Werner would be getting so much. Like you saw, which pisses me off actually. Like you saw how much people were willing to give to Morata and then just switched on him like straight away.
Yeah,
like it was like every single time he was offside, he'd get boos. He'd be like shouting at all that. Like Werner at the minute, and I think Havertz as well would be getting so much.
But
doesn't go on, bro.
No, go on, mate. Go on.
Doesn't Van have like a condition where he can't play in like a stadium which is too loud and whatnot? I've heard about that.
Yeah, that's the thing with his ear.
Wasn't that the thing with him not going to Liverpool?
Yeah,
one of the reasons.
No, I think that's a bit out of context. I swear he had like some operation on his ears or something like that, and it was the game afterwards, and it was just a bit too loud for him. And now it's just a running theme with him. I don't think there's a lot of truth to that because man's coming from the Bundesliga. Like
they've got great fans.
Are 10 times as loud than the Premier League crowds are. Man played at Dortmund in his last season and scored twice. So I definitely don't believe that.
100,000 people at Borussia Park.
Exactly, and you're going to tell me you can't play in loud crowds? There's definitely a load of like waffle and clickbait around that. It's not true. What's this guy said? Thanks for the donation. Our pressing tactics is terrible right now. We look too scared to play ball even before Everton. We were running more than any team with no purpose, and we were barely.
I agree with that. I said that in the watch long when we were playing Leicester. It's just one person pressing at a time. There's no cohesion to it. It's like Tammy starts pressing, then he stops. Then Mount will start pressing, then he'll stop. Then like Hudson-Odoi will start pressing. It's like there's no fluidity to it. No one's pressing all at once. It's all
I was always told playing football at a relatively decent level, you should always press in twos, at least twos. If you can press with more, then brilliant. But you should always press in two. And I see one person go all the time. All the time. And of course, they get popped around. So they're running and doing ineffective work. It's just it's baffling to me that
leave space all the time.
What was that? Sorry.
No, just running with one man, you just leave space in behind. You can just get chased around the pitch.
Leicester are the best team.
He's play 1-2.
Exactly.
But you see our inefficient pressing. Doesn't that come back down to the manager's instructions at the end of the day?
That I don't know because like it depends what he's telling them. If he's telling them to not press, then no. I don't know because it depends how well he's teaching and coaching the press in training, which we just don't know. Like we just have no idea,
and we'll never know.
But it could come down to either the fact that he's telling the players not to press, and they're just taking it into account, like they're thinking, "No, I'm going to press myself," which just doesn't work because again, it's just a one person, or it's players being lazy and not wanting to press, and so you end up getting just one person pressing instead of a team. We don't know at the end of we just don't know.
I reckon there is a big cohesion problem because it even exists when we're going forward and have the ball. You know, there's two people that the ball comes near to them both, and then all of a sudden, just like that, neither of them want the ball. You know, we should be able to be as together as a unit as possible when doing something as simple as going forward, and especially as simple as pressing as well. There's a large debate to be had. But again, on the flip side of that, I remember Mason Mount against Leicester, first game at home last season, pressed. I think it was Soyuncu at the back at the time, or it might have even been Ndidi playing in centre of the park. Either way, he pressed one of them by himself, alone, won the ball, and drilled it past Schmeichel.
I remember that goal because I tweeted after it. I went at people for saying he was crap.
Exactly. Yeah, I was right in front of it. It was up the shed end. It's definitely something that can be used more, but it's got to be more effective. That I will criticise Lampard for. But also again, this is the same thing. I'll criticise Lamps, but also the players have to be able to take accountability for it.
I agree, by the way. Sorry, I just wanted to say I agree with that comment, and it really fucked me off that people were willing to give Morata so much rope he could hang himself with it, and Werner's having a few bad games in a season where, I'll be honest, he's not even having that bad a season. His record this season for us is 1 in 3. Like, in terms of goals.
One goal involvement every 3 games.
No, 1 goal every 3 games, not goal involvement, goal. He's got 9 in 27 for us.
That's not bad. That's not terrible.
Exactly. And it's like, and that score, I looked on Wikipedia. Then that's without scoring in, like, what was it, like 6-7 games? Like, maybe longer. Like, and it's like, everyone was giving it, like, the only time I really saw people go after Morata was in Sarri's season. That's the only time I saw people actually go after Morata. And by that point, he'd had, what, like 2-3 years with us, whatever it was. Like, I can't quite remember. And it's like, but people are going after Werner after, like, half a season. Behave, man.
Behave.
Still massively reactionary.
I think when it
criticizing him the whole time. Go on.
When it comes to like Lampard and whatnot, I think it's going to be a very big problem if we don't get top 4 because, as you guys are all aware, that we're linked with players like Erling Haaland and whatnot. But these type of players,
that's never happening.
These type of players, or like other good players, would want to come to this club to play Champions League football, and it doesn't look like we're getting any of that this season. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, so it's going to be a big problem for us going forward.
All right, cool. Well, guys, this has been player ratings for Leicester 2, Chelsea 0. Thank you to all you guys for joining because you kept the stream going on for ages as well. Big up everyone who's been watching. If you guys haven't hit the like and subscribe button, please smash it. We are now about 40 subs away from hitting 20k, which means hopefully we'll hit it by the morning. If not, we'll hit it by the next stream. But also, check out the next stream that's going to be happening on this channel tomorrow. We are at the halfway point of the season, which means that we're going to do the halftime player ratings throughout the season. We're going to go through every single Chelsea player throughout the season, and we're going to give them a ranking. Craigo, Kazilla, Scott, doors all open for you guys to come join us as well. We'll have a panel on for this one.
Nah, you're right.
Very big discussion. Craig, I know you got your diss. So put it on in the background. I can get.
I'll put it on.
Please, yes. But check out Craigo28 Football. Link is in the title, so just click it. Check out Scott and Kazilla's socials. Scott, if you want to shout out yours first.
At Scotty Page 132 on Twitter. Just follow me on Twitter.
You?
Yeah, Godzilla53 on Twitter, man. Hit me up.
Yeah, check out these guys' socials. Check out Craigo28 Football, Craigo28 Sports. I will see you in about, what time is it? Probably about 20 or so hours. Yeah, I'll see you in about 20 or so hours. But until then, take care, like and subscribe, up the Chelsea, all of that. And let's just hope we beat Luton in a few weeks. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the player rankings. Until then, take care.